Okay, so last week we finished the discussion on low-level input-output for files. So today our discussion will be the high-level file input and output. So what I mean by high-level is, so these functions or the system calls are more abstract than uh, the ones that we discussed last week. That means the system calls or functions have most probably less amount of arguments or parameters inside the function which we call. But with the same thing, I mean the same thing can be achieved by uh, using less effort than the low level input output functions that we discussed last week. So we have to compare these two. We have to compare these two and have an idea how these two map with each other. That means the correspondence between the high level file input output and low level file input output. Okay. So just like we had some concept known as file descriptor in low level input output, we have something known as file pointer. That means there is a structure. So we had discussed about the structures in our previous lessons when we discussed about the C programming. So when we discuss about structure, so structure is nothing but it is having some kind of inside attributes. So structures have different attributes or properties embedded in maybe different types of data types are embedded inside data. So a file is also considered as a structure. So there is a defined structure for files. So when we are calling these high level input file input output functions, uh, most of the time we have to refer to file structure. That means we have to pass an address to a structure called file. There's a structure called file defined. So it is defined in this stdio.h. stdio.h, that file structure is defined. So we have to create a pointer to that file structure when we are dealing with these high level input output files. I mean, these functions, right? So just like the previous week, we are going to compare different software interrupts or system calls, right? So last week we said that there are different file descriptors assigned for standard input, standard output, and standard error. So just like that one, in high level file input output system, there will be file pointers allocated to this standard input, standard output, and standard error. And they are identified by stdins for standard input, stdout for standard output, and stderr for standard error. And these are declared in the same library or header file stdio.h, right? So last week also I told you that standard error is connected to keyboard and standard out and standard error are connected to screen. But as required, we may point these to different file pointers. So in high level input output, just a moment ago I mentioned that we have structure, pointers to file structure, pointers to file structure. So even these standard error, standard output, standard input may be directed to different files or pipes. We will discuss in future lessons. We can direct these file pointers as required, right? Okay, so upon unsuccessful pointing to a file structure, uh, the functions return null pointer. Null pointer means uh, that particular pointer does not have any address, does not point to any file structure. So in low level input output system, it was an integer which was -1. Upon error, the low level IO input output retrieved -1 upon error. Similarly, the high level IO model will return null pointer upon failure. So you have to have an analogy between low level and high level, right? So the first function that we come across uh, in high level IO model is fopen, standing for file opening, fopen. The corresponding low level function was that we discussed last week was open. So I hope you remember the open function. So similarly in high level, we have fopen, right? And this is defined in stdio.h header file. And this is how it is declared or defined. So the return type is a pointer. So this stands for pointer to file structure. So file is a structure. So it is structure. You know that structure can be declared as a data type. So structure itself becomes a data type. So when we discuss about the structure, so file is a structure, so it is also a data type. So that is what is written from this fopen system code. Hello? And there are only two arguments. In open that you studied last week, there were three arguments: path name, flags, and mode. Here only the path name and the mode exist. Both of them are pointers to character, that means strings. Both of them are strings. Both the path name and this mode are a string. So path name is similar to the one which was used in low level. So you can give a relative path name or an absolute path name. That depends on your requirement. And the second argument, which is mode, it is similar to the flags. This argument mode is not the mode in open system code. So in open, the third argument was mode, but it is not that mode which is discussed here. This mode is equivalent to flags. That is the second argument of open function that we discussed. So in if you can remember, in open system code, the second argument flags, those flags were like this. If you want to open the file read only, you can specify ORD only. And if you want to open it with write only, and if the file does not exist, create, or if the file exists, if the file already exists, truncate. So we could use a combination of arguments like this, right? These flags. So instead of using flags in this open, in low level IO model, in a high level, just a single letter or two letters are used to identify these. So these are abstracted to these one or two letters in high level model. So if you pass as the mode, the word, I mean the letter simple R, it means it is read only. If you want to open the file in read only, then uh, you can pass the argument R. Uh, I think I have shared the screen. Can all of you don't see the screen? Can you see the screen now? No. So how about now? I stop sharing and I reshare it again. Oh, now okay. Okay. So what I was discussing was this fopen system call. So in this fopen system call, so single or two letters are used to abstract these flags in low level function, this open. So if it is read only, there is no meaning in creating or truncating. So it is only read only is used alone. So we can abstract it using simple R. If you specify W, then that means it is open for write only, but you can create if the file does not exist or truncate. If you say A standing for append, the file will be open for read only. If the file does not exist, create, and if the file exists, content will be appended. So if you specify R with plus, then so always if you specify with plus, it will be open for both read and write. As you can see in these three rows, if you say R plus, W plus, or A plus, it will be open for read and write. But the difference is if it is R plus, so it will not be created or truncated, or if the file does not exist, it will not be created. If the file exists, it will not be truncated or appended. So if you specify write W plus, it will be for read and writing, but with creation and truncation. If you specify A plus, it will be read, write, creation and appending. So this is how you map these two different system calls to open a file. Right? So you can do the same thing which you did in low level by just using one or two letters in fopen. So if you can see that there is something missing, that is the user privileges, which was the mode in low level. I mean, in open function, there was a third argument known as mode, not this mode. There was a third argument known as mode, which specified the user privileges. So user privileges are not, they have been dropped in, that argument has been dropped in fopen. So if we want to change the user privileges, we have to use a separate function, that is change mode, chmod function, right? So that argument has been dropped here, right? So just like I explained in the beginning, so if the file, I mean, if this system call fopen cannot open the file specified by this path name, if it is not able to locate that file, or either the privileges are not there to open the file, etc. In that case, if it is not able to open, then null point will be returned, just like -1 in low level IO model. In this model, null pointer will be retrieved. Otherwise, it will retrieve the address of this file, address of the file specified by this path name. That address will be retrieved as a file pointer. Address of this file will be retrieved. So that is about fopen system call, right? That is about fopen system call. So just like there was a function known as close in low level IO model, there is a function known as fclose, file close, in high level IO model. So this fclose, so this should this is not defined in Universal Studio.h, this is defined in stdio.h. So this must be changed. So I will change it later, right? I will upload this note with this change. So this is remember that this is not Universal Studio.h, this is stdio.h, fclose. So it is similar to the previous one. So the return type is integer. Return type is integer, and the argument now is a file pointer. So if you are successfully able to open a file, then it will retrieve a file pointer. You can store this address of this file in a variable. Then you can pass that variable inside this fclose. You can pass that variable in this fclose. Then that file will be closed. If the file is successfully closes, it will return 0. Otherwise, if it is not able to close the file successfully, it will return -1. It will return -1. Right? So that is about closing of a file. So we have several more functions to discuss. So you can remember last week there were read and write. Read and write functions in low level IO model. So we have to discuss the corresponding functions in the high level model also, right? Okay. So the corresponding one for writing to a file is fprintf function. So this is equivalent to writing to a file. So this is used to write to a file, maybe from a memory or maybe not from a memory. So you can print actually a formatted string to a file. So which is more advanced than just writing from a memory to a file. So in low level IO function write, it wrote from a low level, so I mean a memory from, so if we create a memory known as buffer, so we write from the buffer to the file. But in fprintf you can pass the formatted, so as a second argument you can see here, you can pass a formatted string. That's why it says character pointer. So that is a string, formatted string, and as the format specifies, you can then in a comma separated list, you can pass the variables which are specified in this formatted string. And the first argument is the file pointer. So this file pointer is an open file. So you can open a file pointer using fopen. You can open a file pointer using fopen. So this file pointer could be passed as the argument in here in fprintf, the first argument. Then you can give whatever the formatted string here. Then you can provide the variables. So if you can imagine about printf. So we had discussed about printf. So in printf, the difference between printf and fprintf is only this argument is missing in printf. In printf, this first argument is not there, but these two are there. The formatted string is there, and then the list of variables in the formatted string. So here the first argument is a file pointer, which is an open file pointer, which was opened using fopen. So what is done here is used to write a file from memory buffer, or you can use a formatted user-defined input as here. You may write even just from a memory, or you can pass a formatted string as the input to the file, right? So the return type is integer. So what will be returned is the number of bytes written to the file, number of bytes written to the file. And just like in write in low level IO model, so here so this will return -1 on error. So this will return -1 on error. And otherwise, if it is successfully able to write, I mean print to the file, so then it will retrieve the number of bytes written to the file pointed by this file pointer. So this stream is nothing but a file pointer open using fopen system call. Right. So the next thing, you had studied about scanf before. So scanf, what was the function? Scanf get the user input and store in a memory specified in its arguments. Scanf did that part. Just like that, scanf. So f scanf, that means file scan. So F stands for file, scan is just for scan, F means formatted. So print F means this F is for formatted, this F is for file. So just like that term, file, scan, formatted. So that is to scan a formatted file. That is the literal meaning of this F, scan F. So just scanf without f will read from the standard input. What is the standard input? It is the keyboard. That means it will read from keyboard and store in a memory. Fscanf read from file and store in a memory. Right. So this is also defined in stdio.h. So pronounced as studio.h. So almost all of the system calls in high level input output model is defined in this header file stdio.h, right? So this is important, so better to remember that this one. Okay, So the definition of fscanf is similar to fprintf. The return type is again integer. Return type is again integer. The first argument is a pointer to a file which was opened already by using fopen system call. And just like here, the second argument is the format. So you can remember the scanf. So in scanf, this first argument was not there, others were there. So the format. So the format you specify in double quotation marks, that is a character. And you can pass even variables inside that string, and address of those variables is the third, or I mean the list of next set of arguments. So if there are several variables here, then you have to pass the address of those variables in a list. So the difference between these two is here the variable name is passed, the variable itself is passed. Here the address of the variable is passed. You must be remember that when we discuss about printf and scanf. So here the variable is passed, and here the address of the variable is passed. So this, as I explained before, is used to read from a file stream to a memory buffer. So the set of not only one memory buffer, you can read into set of memory buffers by using this formatted string. Using this formatted string, you can read into several memory elements if you want. But there is some difference between this fscanf and read. Low level input to output system call. So that is, so there are similarities also. Fscanf also returns -1 upon failure. But the difference is this will return number of bytes read upon meeting space character. So suppose that you are reading a set of words from a file. So this will return. So this will return the output as, okay, now I have scanned. For example, if there is a word with 5 letters, it will read that 5 letter into a buffer, and it will output that it has read 5 letters by returning 5, because the next character is space. So it will read until this space is found. Then you have to call this again if you want to read more. You have to call this again if you want to read starting from that space. That means it will temporarily hold reading. It will temporarily hold its reading when it finds this space character. It will temporarily hold this reading. Then if you want to read more, then you have to call this fscanf again. Fscanf again. And you have to continue it until the end of file is reached. So this end of file, EOF, the value for this EOF is stored in this stdio.h. So you need to worry about what is the value of this EOF. When you pass capital EOF standing for end of file, so you have to read until this EOF is found by fscanf. Until it is found, you can read. When EOF is found, you cannot read anymore from using this fscanf. So so it will, a particular scanning will end upon meeting space character. But just like that we discussed in previous week, the file offset will be remaining here. So once fscanf is over, the file space will be remaining at this space character. Then the next particular fscanf will begin from this one and then scan the next set of letters. Then again, when it finds a space like this, it will again terminate. Then we have to call it again. So like that one, we have to call it again. So just like not like the read function in low level input output, we cannot specify the number of bytes that we want to read and read because when it finds the space, it will exit. Right? So that is, so you have to call this differently in your program, fscanf. And the other functions, changing the set of privileges, we had already discussed this in last week, change mode function. So this is defined in sys.stat.h. You need to include this header file if you want to call this function. And this is same. So this thing we discussed last week, you have to provide the path name and then mode. So what are the modes? So those modes are nothing but the modes that we discussed in open system call. In open system call, the third argument was mode. So these are those modes. What were those modes? S, I. So if you want to specify read privilege for user, you have to specify S underscore capital I R USR. Likewise, so these are the modes. So we will remember this one again when we do the examples today. Right, so this function, so print error function also we have to use even in this high level IO model. So you have to include this header file errno.h standing for error number. So the same function we had discussed this last week, print error, you have to pass a character pointer here, a string. You have to pass a string. Then it will print this string and the particular error to the standard error, that is simply the string. Because usually the standard error is pointed to the string. Okay, so this is the background and background for today's exercises. So if you had understood this lesson, then you will be able to do the examples that we are going to discuss today. Okay, we'll start the exercises for this class today. So in the first one, we are asked to create a text file. So these are almost the same examples that we discussed last week. So we did the same thing in low level IO model. Now we are going to do the exact thing in using high level file input output functions. We are going to do the same thing. Okay. So in the first one, we are asked to create a text file name doc1.txt and write name and age the user input using the standard input, that is keyboard, to doc1.txt with possible error handling. Okay, so just log into your Ubuntu and open the terminal. Open the terminal, then change the directory to desktop, and I'll create a new directory as high IO. Then we'll change directory to inside this one. So inside this one, sorry for the disturbance. So inside this one, then I will create a new file to write my program known as program.c, right? Then I will open this one. So first of all, we'll include the libraries. So for high level file input output model, you saw that we need to include stdio studio.h library, and to print the error, we need to include print error. Sorry. So this is, I think, no, the number. Then we have to use the exit function when we encounter an error. So that exit function is defined in standard library. That is defined in standard library. And then if we want to use the change mode, we have to use sys.stat.h. But in this, in the first example, we are not going to use change mode, so we will not include that one. So we have to write the main function. Right, so just to make sure that it is compiling, we'll try to compile. It was compiled successfully. So, okay, so what we asked to do is get the name and age of the user and from the keyboard and write it to a document. So we did this example last week, but that was done using low-level IO model. Now we do it using high-level IO model. So first we will create an integer to store the size of the name, and we'll ask the user to enter the size of the name. So you can see we have already done this printf and scanf. So this is the form. This is what we call this format. This is what we call in printf. So in printf, this file pointer is not there. So this is what we call the format. And if there are variables in the format, then you have to pass the variables. So in this case, there were not variables. So we are not passing any variable. So we are going to scanf. So this is again the format. So as inside the format, we are going to pass this one. To specify it is, we are going to get a variable here. And then in scanf, you have to pass the address of the variable. So it is and size. We'll pass the new line, otherwise everything will be in the same lines. So we have to get printf Uh, so we'll then create uh, a variable to store the name as uh, character name, and it is of this size that was read from the user. Then we'll ask the user to enter your name. Then scan. Using this function, we are going to scan the username. So now this will become a string, and so this will be name, because this name is a character pointer, that is a string. So this name is a pointer to a character. So no need to say that address of name. So name is already an address. And then we will scan the age. Enter your age. Then as here, first we have to create a variable to store age. I'll say it as age. And here you have to okay, I'll store this as character, because you have to write it as character. Age of size 2. Age of size 2, and here you have to again pass it as a string, and this one age is already a character pointer, I mean a string. So now you need to pass as address. Right, so that is the first step. We'll just check whether it is compiled. Yes. Okay, so then we will go for this now high level system input output. So what we are asked to create is a file name as doc1.txt, and we have to write to that file. So it is better to open this file as, so we are not going to read from this file. So it is better to open this file as write only. We are not going to read from this file. But in the coming up examples, we have to even read from this file. So then we have to change the privileges. So because of that one, I will open this one as both read write, right? Both read write, and if the file exists, it will create, and if the file does not exist, it will create. If the file exists, we will append. So what I am talking about is, I'm going to open this one in this W plus mode. That means I am going to open this for read write. If the file does not exist, create. If it exists, truncate. W plus. Okay. So the return type of the fopen function is file pointer. So I'm going to create a file pointer known as file pointer1, fp1. So it will open. First argument is nothing but the name of the file that we want to create. So we want to create, we will use relative addressing, a file known as doc1.txt in the present directory. Create such a one. Then what was the second argument? Second argument was only this mode. There are no any other arguments. So as the mode, I'm going to open this one in this mode. Read write, open for creating and truncate. W plus. W plus. But you have to pass this as a character, otherwise it will not be accepted. So you have to insert this within inverted commas. I mean the double quotes. Right, so just like we did the error handling last week, we have to do that error handling for this high level IO model also. That means we have to check whether this file was opened or not. So if this was not able to open, it will return a null pointer. So we have to check that. If file pointer 1 equal null, if it is null pointer, then we have to print the error and exit. Otherwise, we have to continue. Otherwise, we have to continue. Right? If there was an error, then file pointer will point to null. Then we'll print f, we'll print to screen doc1 couldn't be opened. Doc1 could not be opened, and we print the error using p error. We'll first say it is document 1. Then the corresponding error will be printed. Then again we'll print the error number. So it is stored in error number. Then after we print the error, we'll exit. Exit from our program. We'll exit from our program like this. Okay, so that is what we have to do. And if otherwise, if we are able to open, then we have to write these things to our file. We have to write these things to our file. First, we'll print a success message, and make sure when you are giving here, you give it with the new line, otherwise everything will be on the same line. We'll say the file opened successfully. Then, so what we have to do is we have to print these things to the file. I mean, write these things to the file. So how we are going to do that is using fprintf, print a formatted string to file. So we can use a single command to do that. So in write function, in low level input output, if we want to write a set of things like this, if we want to write name, then first we have to write the name separately, then we have to write the age separately. Likewise, if we have some another character set of a string in the middle, then we have to write that one separately using three memory. If you have different memories, you have to do writing again and again separate. But in fprintf, since you have a formatted string, you can write it at the same time. So first argument, as I discussed before, is the pointer to the file. So we open a file pointer here. So the first argument of this fprintf function is this file pointer. This is where we are going to write to. Then the second argument is the format, which means the formatted string. So if I remind you that one, fprintf, so the return type is integer. The first is a file pointer. The second argument is the formatted string. Then the variables used in this formatted string. Okay, so what is the formatted string? So I will say I can pass any text that I want. I will say my name is, then actually the name that I stored in this variable name will be passed. So variable name is a string, and then I will say my age is this one, this age. It is again a string. Then I will say full stop. So as the next arguments, we have to specify what are these variables. So this is the format, then the list of variables. So the list of variables is, the first one is name, the second one is age. So with single line, we can do a writing operation to a file, but we must make sure that this is done successfully. So we can check the return value of this fprintf for that one. We can check the return value. So I will store the return value in integer called as bytes written. So what is returned from this fprintf will be stored in this one. Then we will check that value to check whether there was an error or not. So in case an error occurred, this will be equal to -1. If bytes written is equal to -1, do this, otherwise print the success message and exit. If this is equal to -1, so what is done is, so there is an error, no? So we'll exactly do what we did here, right? Printf could not be, so it is here writing. So if this is fail, could not be written. Same thing, if it is successful, we'll just say printf written to file successfully. And the most important thing is, so we have to free this file pointer to be allocated in the consequent programs to other file pointers. So we have to close this one. So the corresponding function that I taught you a moment ago is fclose, file close function. So as the argument, it is the only argument, it is this open file pointer. So we have to close this file pointer. So that's it. So we opened the file and wrote this to the file. So these are the user input things, name and age. So it compiles successfully. So we'll run this. Okay, we get the success message, file opened successfully and written to file successfully. So that means it came here and it came here. That means none of these errors had occurred. The file has been opened and this text has been written. So we'll check whether it has been actually written. Uh, so this is the directory that we are currently in. So there is a file with called as doc1.txt. So you can see what we entered has been successfully written to the file using fopen and fprintf. So like previously, we need not to include Universal Studio.h, UNISTD.h. So that was used in low-level system output functions. And we need not to include fcntl.h also because we are not using those, what I mean, these flags. So these flags were defined in fcntl.h. So as we are not using them, we need not to include fcntl.h also. Okay. So that was the first example. So in the next one, we have to do the copy function. That means we have to copy whatever that we just now a moment ago wrote into document1.txt to another file doc2.txt with possible error handling. Okay, we'll just modify this program to do that task. So these are no longer required. I'll just comment out this code. These are no longer required. So we are going to open a file with read-write privilege. Read-write privilege, if it does not exist, create or truncate. Okay, so this is the one, but as this example uses only reading of the file document1.txt, I will open this one in read-only mode. I will open this one as read-only. As we are only reading from document1.txt and writing to document2.txt. So if we specify R, that means open for read only. Open for read only. So the same error messages should be there. If we are not able to open it, this will be displayed. So I'll say here doc1, because we have doc2 also. Okay, now here we are not going to do a write at once, but we are going to do a write later. First, we should read from this one. What do I mean? This file pointer 1 into a buffer, and then we should write this one. So we have to, so as I told you, in fscanf, it will read word by word. So what I mean is, in fscanf, it will read this first word, and then that will be allocated to the memory that we specify, and it will exit. Then we have the file offset will be here, then we have to call it again. It will be copied to buffer, then file offset will be here, then we have to call it again. So likewise, we have to call it again, because it will return. It will return when the space character is found. When the space character is found, it will return. And we have to again and again do this until end of file. So here is the end of file. You can see the cursor does not move away beyond this one. So this point is the end of file. Once this point is found, then we will stop reading. So we have to code like that to cater that requirement. So how we code? So what I'm going to code is, so we open the document, then we will open another document as document 2. Sorry, printf. I'll open another file pointer known as fp2 and call the fopen function. So that will be in the same directory, document2.txt, and I will be opening it for write only. I will be opening it for write only. So I have to specify this W. Why it is write only? Because you can see here the W. It is write only. If it does not exist, create. If it exists, truncate. Why I am opening for write only? Because we have to copy from document 1 to document 2. The purpose of opening is only for writing, so I am using type W. Here it is only for reading, so I am using R, read only. Okay, then we open this file for write only, then we are going to call while. So we are going to call fscanf until end of file is written. So while the output of fscanf is not equal to end of file. So what I mean is this: output of fscanf is not equal to end of file, not equal to fscanf, file scanf. So what is the file that we are going to scan is, read is fp1 from file pointer 1. Okay, before that also we have to create some memory to store these words. So the highest word size is this 9, because it will store word by word. It will store word by word. So the highest word size is 9. It will store 9. So I will just create a buffer known as buffer1 of size 9. Buffer1 of size 9. And I will read or scan word by word into this buffer. So we have to pass the format. Format is %s, that is for string, and the pointer to string is buffer1. Buffer1. So while this is not true, we have to do, once we check this, we have to print at the same time. Integer bytes written, we have to do this at the same time. We have to do this at the same time. How to which one we are going to write? We are going to now not write to file pointer 1 but to file pointer 2. But what is we are going to write? We are going to write this buffer. So we have to only pass this string, but what is contained in this buffer, buff1, is without spaces. Without the spaces, so this fscanf does not create spaces. It has read without the spaces. So when we are printing, we have to keep the space. So print whatever there is in buffer with the space. Print whatever there is in buffer with the space. So here it will be buffer 1. Into the byte direction fprintf try to file pointer 2 the content of buffer 1. Content of buffer 1. If this is -1, we have to, then that means if we are not able to write to this one, we have to exit. Otherwise, we have to keep on doing this one. So there is no else here, no else. We will come to this point out of this loop only if we have written to the file successful. If there was an error, we will exit from here. So we will not come here. We will come here only when there is no error. So this is in this level. Return to I'll say doc2. So I will close. So there are 2 file pointers to close now. So we will close both file pointers here. Right. So what was done here was, so I just created a small memory to store each word. So the maximum word size is this one, 9 characters. Right. So here once we open the doc1, then I just open the doc2, but I didn't do error handling for doc2. If you want, you can do error handling for doc2 as well. So just we'll do that. So this should, all of these should be indented. So if fp2 equal null, we have to print the error and exit. Otherwise, we have to do this. So if fp2 was null, we'll print these error messages. So now we'll see, say document2 could not be opened, like that, and exit. Otherwise, you have to print that document2 was opened successfully. Right, so after opening, so we are doing this one. So we do the reading from file pointer 1 to this buffer. So how reading is done? It will read word by word. So when it meets this first space here, then it will exit from this one. Return, the value returned is 2. 2 is not equal to end of file. 2 is not equal to end of file. So it will be in this loop, it is true. And what will be written? What is written is here, what is in buffer 1. So now buffer 1 will contain my. Buffer 1 will contain my. The word my, it will be written with the space to file pointer 2, the file at file pointer 2. File pointer 2 is the document. So this one should have this / document2.txt. Document2.txt. So the first word will be written. Then again, as this while loop was not violated, this one will come again and this will be checked. When this is checked, this will be run. And it will run, and the second word, name, will come here, and it will be here 4. Number 4 is not equal to end of file. So end of file is a negative number. It is not a positive number, so it will never be true if number of bytes are retrieved. So this will again not be true, but the value of buff1 is now the name is there in now buff1. It will be now again printed here, and this loop will continue. Loop will continue. If there is an error, it will come here and exit. Otherwise, if there was no error, once this end of file is reached, it will come here and write this message, written to doc2 successfully. Then it will close the 2 file pointers. So this is the program that we needed to write to copy doc1 to doc2. Compile successfully. Okay, so we get some messages. Document1 opened successfully, document2 opened successfully, written to document2 successfully. That means all are success messages, no errors. We'll see whether document2, yes, there is a document2 now. We'll open, and it is exactly as document1. It is exactly as document1. So that means document1 has been now successfully copied to document2. So we have now implemented the copy function using high-level input-output. High-level input-output. Right. Okay, we did this second example a moment ago. Now we'll go for the third example. So these are the same examples that we did last week. nothing new, but we are doing the same thing using high level IO. So we are asked to create and open a file doc1.txt and close it, then give read only privileges and open it. Write a program with error handling to write a sentence to it. So we open a file and then close it. Then we are asked to give read only privileges. So when we give read only privileges to that one, any user cannot write to that file, but we are asked to write to that file. So if we write, we should not be allowed to write. So we need to do this error handling to make sure that we are not allowed to write. If it is not allowed, we get an error message. That should be the how the program should be written. Right. So I'll edit the same program, but I recommend you to use a different file when you do it yourself. So in this one, we have to change the privileges using the change mode function. That function is defined in sysstat.h. So we have to include that function because we use change mode. So now I'm going to open this file. First we asked to open and close the file. First I will open this one in both read and write privileges. Read write privileges. If it does not create, if it is there, truncate. Right. So this will say that doc1 open successfully. Then I'm going to close this one. So we have been asked to close this one, open and close, because you cannot change the privileges when you have open. You cannot change the privileges for an open file. You have to close file. You can call change mode only for a close file. You learned that last week. So first I have to call. So I have to remove this fclose here and call it here. Close the file descriptor, then we have to call change mode. So change mode, I hope you can remember. The first argument is the path name. I'm going to give the relative path name. And then the mode. So the modes, you must remember that if you want to give read privileges for all, so you have been asked to give read only privileges, and then we have to open it. So how to give read only privileges? You must remember this. So set read privilege for user, or set read privilege for group, or set read privilege for others. Right, this is how you change the privileges. So now we change the privilege to read only, then we are asked to open it. So as this is read only, we will have to open this one using read only mode. So this, I will say this one in read only, because we have used the privilege read only, so we cannot open it for writing. So here also not document 2, the file pointer 2, I'm referring to the same document doc1.txt. So here also document 1. Again, so I should use new line. Again, if this document 1, after changing the privileges to read only, if we can open, then it will say the document was opened successfully. Now we are asked to write, not reading. So these things are not required. So we are asked to write a sentence to it. So I'll just write some arbitrary sentence to it. I'll say just a sentence. If it is successful, it will say that written to document now 1 successfully, and then close the file point. Otherwise, it will say it could not be written. So we should get this error message actually, because we opened this file with read only privileges in read only mode, then we must not be able to write to this file. We must not be able to write to this file. So this fprintf should not be able to be executed, and this should return -1, and we should get this error message. This comma is redundant. Okay, compile successfully. So we have document 1 opened successfully. Then that file descriptor document 1 could not be written. Error number is 9. So this message was printed in the first one, document 1 opened successfully. Then in here we have to again give here also we have to say that when you open it for the second time, the document 1 was opened successfully. So we first open, then close it and change the privileges. So here again we have to say that it was opened successfully. Then only we, if there are errors, we have to print them. It is printing something, but it is not showing. The reason. Okay, just for the moment we will remove these new lines. I will say the comma for second time. For some reason it is not showing, but you can see for some of the errors are showing. Document1.txt permission denied could not be opened. This reason. So this is what is going to happen. So when we run this one for the first time, so what is going to happen is, uh, it will be open with in read write mode. So W plus is read write mode. So but the fact is, here we change the privilege to read only. Here we change the privilege to read only. So when the program is running for the second time, when we execute and run for the second time, when it comes to here, when it tries to open, when it tries to open the file here, it will not allow, because at this moment, this file is already read only, because in the previous program, it made the file read only. So we can see if you go to this one here, you can see this lock icon. That means this file has been already changed the mode to read only, right? So we cannot write to this one because it is read only. So what we can do? So what is the error which is shown here is this one. Document1.txt permission denied. Document1 could not be opened. This one is shown because at the first moment this is not allowed. So as a precaution, what we can do is when we start the program, we have to change. If it is read only, we have to change it back to read write or execute. Document1.txt set read write execute privilege for user. Similarly for others, group and others. So this will make sure that when you are here, the privileges of document1.txt is now read write execute privileges are there, so that you are able to open this. Okay, now it is okay. Document1 opened successfully. Document1 opened successfully for the second time. Then in the third one, you get document1 could not be written. Error number is 9. So that comes here. Document1 could not be written. That means only it has not been able to write because you change the privileges to read only here. You open and close, then you change the privilege to read, then you open, right? So it printed this message also. That means it opened for the second time with this after changing the privileges also, but the fact is it could not be able to write for the second time. Okay, so that is what needed to be demonstrated in this example. Right, so we did that one also. Okay, so the last thing remaining is similar in content to this one, but we will do that one also as we have enough time left. right? So we are asked to create and open a file document one.txt with read and write privileges. Okay, then open doc1.txt and write a sentence to it. Okay, we'll do that one first. So we are asked to open a file with read and write privilege. So we set the read and write privilege and opened it, and without uh, closing, we are asked to write a sentence to it. Okay, we'll write a sentence. We'll just cut paste this one here. We will not close this file descriptor here. So we open the file, then we try to write a sentence to this one. So now it will be file pointer 1 because we opened this file pointer 1. We try to write a sentence. If it is not possible, then we'll print this error message. Otherwise, we'll say printed successfully or whatever. So these should be inside this. Right, so we'll print a success message. So we'll show the new line. Printf, so not open. We say doc1 was written. Other sentence was written to doc1 successfully. Right, so we have to write a sentence. So if this is okay, then this will be written. So it should be written as it was opened with read and write privileges. So we wrote a sentence. Now we are asked to change the privilege of doc1.txt to write only. So we'll change the privilege to write only. So before changing the privilege to write only, we have to close the file pointer, because we can change the privilege only for a closed file. So we'll say fp1 is the file pointer pointing to the document1.txt. So we have to set this one to write only. This will change the privilege to write only. Then we are asked to write a program with error handling to read from it with error handling. So we have to change the privilege to write only, then we are asked to read from it. So if we want to read from a file, so we may open it as we may open the document as read only file. So this is it. So we have already written it, file pointer to f open this one, because we want to read only. So we want to open the file as read only. But according to this one, we have changed the privilege to write only. So this should give us an error. But still we will continue. There will be an error and it will exit. So if in case there is no error, we get message. So we'll print new line, document one open successfully. And what we ask to do is program with error handling to read from it. Read from it. So how to read from a file? So we have to use the fscanf function to read from a file. So how to read from file? So we have to use fscanf. So I already told you how to use fscanf. So we have to scan until end of file is reached. So while the output of fscanf is not equal to end of file, so what we will be scan is this file pointed by file pointer to, and we have to create a buffer. We have to create a buffer, then we will scan into that buffer. All the time when we scan, we have to print it. So now in this time we are not asked to print to a file, we just print to the string. Printf whatever the content in buffer. So this is the format with a space, whatever the content in buffer we have to print. While this is true, this will be done. Once this is done, we will get a message written to document. So no, not written. This is read from doc1 successfully, and this file point should be closed. Okay, so that is the program. So what we did was we opened and we wrote a sentence to the file, and after writing to that file, we so this should be close that file point, and we change the privilege to write only. Write only. Initial the privilege was read, write, execute privilege. Then we change it to write only. Then we try to read from it. So obviously we cannot read. So this should give an error that document one could not be. We'll say opened for reading. It will exit. It will even not come here. So we can see in the first one, document one was open, and then sentence was written, and then permission denied because we cannot open it for reading, because we changed the privilege to write only. So that's what happened. So just to demonstrate that this is working, and this will print to the screen, I will just comment this out. Just for demonstration, this is not related to the example. So if I comment this out, then this will not longer be write only. So you can open this for now read only. You can open this for read only. And so now what you are doing is you are reading, and you can successfully write. And there should be some error handling here. If this is print is not there, you have to exit, but I will omit it here. This error handling for this printing. So you can see a sentence was written to document one. Then as we removed the write-only privilege, now we are able to open the document for the second time. Then uh, what we wrote to the file was, what was there in the file was a sentence. So this was what written here, printf, this one, because it was the one which we previously wrote. So what is there in uh, doc1 is sentence. So this is the content of doc1. So this has been written here. So I'll give a new line here for clarity. So if you are able to open this for the second time and write the content of that one here, then it is successful. So you can see, open for second time, then it wrote the content of document one. So it wrote means it read. So what I did was, it was open for reading. So it read using fscanf until end of file is reached. So end of file is reached once you finish. So first, this buffer is stored with capital A, then it will be stored with the word sentence. So first capital A will be printed, then space, then sentence. So it was successfully printed, then you get this message and this file pointer will be closed. That is what happened. So this is what we have to discuss in high level IO model. So I will upload this video for you to even refer later. So we have almost covered 3 learning outcomes by now. So from next week onwards, we'll go for the 4th learning outcome. So that is the learning outcome which covers most of your content. That is the actual part on operating system programming concepts. So these what we discussed up to today was some basic and background for OS programming. So now up to this point we discussed about file input and output. So from next week onwards we'll go for more complex OS programming concepts and continue the lesson. So that is all what we have to do for today. So in case you have any questions, you can ask related to this lesson.